Talking about fame, it's like when you create fame based on an image, then in order to maintain your fame, which then becomes a valuable product, you have to maintain your image. And when I started to have and be more vulnerability, I actually became more famous, but it wasn't based on an image, it was based on me.
Different world when you function from this vulnerability, because you no longer have to defend. A process we've used in Access for a while that changed a lot of stuff for me personally, and I ran it for months and months and months and months and months, literally, because I spent my life defending a lot of things. And there's a process you can run, which is who or what are you defending for or against, that if you didn't defend for or against it, would allow you to have and be all of you.
First time that I started doing this, and I got on Twitter, and I tweeted something that was kind of controversial. Was like, oh. I put my phone down. I was like, I can't look at it. I can't look at it. So maybe a day went by, and then I looked. Okay, and then I kept doing that, and what I saw was when people would throw like nasty judgments and nasty things out of my way, I just would play with them and write something funny back. And I didn't defend myself or anything. 100% of the time, their next tweet back was apologizing for what they had tweeted. And I was like, just like that, really? It's that easy?
He was surprised every time some miracle happened on the field. And when you're surprised when it happens, you don't try to go back and do the same thing because you don't even know how it happened. You just know you were there when it happened. And you're like, wow, I wonder if I can be there when it happens again. You know?
Yeah, that's it.
I wonder how it's going to happen next time. I wonder if, but notice the continuous question, and the continuous question, and the continuous question. And notice that the only time where Ricky felt, I'm going to say, screwed up or whatever, you know, like his life was falling apart,
yeah,
was when he came out of the question. Even the question of who am I today? There's a question we give in Access, right? Who am I today, and what grand and glorious adventures am I going to have? And people often discount it because you get it in one of the first classes, so you figure it must not have any value. Because anybody from the beginning could do it. But why do we do that? Because if you're in continuous question about who you are that day, you're not in conclusion, you're not an image, you're in the vulnerability that allows miracles to occur.
When I was a kid, I was like a nobody. You know, they would ask those questions like, what makes you special? And I would just sit there, well, I have a twin sister, and that was about it. And then I started playing football, and then people started to pay attention to me, people started to notice me, and my life really took off. And so I'm sitting here at the age of 27 years old, and I asked myself, well, am I really a football player? And the awareness that I got was no. And I kind of stopped, and I was like, well, what about the cars, and what about the houses, and what about the attention, and what about everything? And the awareness I got was like, who cares? I was like, really? And at that moment, my whole entire life changed. I retired from football 2 months later, and what I stepped into, it was like, I felt like I was living, finally. That I lived more in a 3-month period following that than I had the previous 27 years of my life. And what was available to me and what I was so much greater than anything I ever knew existed. And to me, I was like, wow, so that's what I was hiding underneath my image.
Have you ever noticed that when somebody's really uncomfortable around you, you'll do anything to try to change it?
Yeah.
Like you do anything to try to make them not feel as uncomfortable as they're feeling. It's their uncomfortableness. What are you doing? It's like there was this comedian in Australia that I was watching, and he said, have you ever been standing there talking to somebody, you know, and they do one of those spit things and it flies up and you see it, you know, and you see it coming towards you and it lands on you? You know what I mean? And you stand there and you like feel weird and you feel bad, like you did something wrong. He's like, what do you feel wrong? They just spit on you. It wasn't the other way around. You know what I mean? But you feel like, oh my God, should I say anything? Should I wipe it off? Should I, you know, should I turn around? You know what I mean? It's the same thing about making people feel uncomfortable. It's like, wait a minute, this is their thing. What if you could allow them to feel whatever they needed to feel in the presence of that, and it didn't have to make you try to compress you, bend, fold, staple, or mutilate you to make them more comfortable. I think a lot of us have learned to try to make people feel good about themselves because we actually care. That you care about people so much that if they're uncomfortable or they're judging you, you would try to do anything to stop it.
It's just that, is to get that me being me is going to make other people uncomfortable. And to acknowledge that I actually enjoy it.
But you have to be really vulnerable to get to that place where you're like, oh dude, I really like this. This is awesome making people uncomfortable. You know, and not that you set out to make them uncomfortable, but you can feel them squirming in their boots when you're just being aggressively present, like totally present as you, not aggressive, but so present that they can't take you out of that level of presence, no matter what they try. And they start squirming in their boots because they're used to being able to use whatever tool they usually use to uphold their image and take people out of being present. And when they can't do it for you and they start squirming in their boots, you start smiling on the inside. Whereas before it was this thing of this uncomfortableness because you could perceive their uncomfortableness. And the interesting thing about it is that the people that actually desire something greater start going, wait a minute, what was different about that person? Wait a minute, he just wasn't a famous football player. There's something different about him. And then it sticks in their world and it eats at them until they start realizing they can start making some different choices too. And that's the cool part.
That is the cool part. So, you know, when we're talking about vulnerability, it's not trying to give you guys another way to judge yourself of whether you're being vulnerable enough or not. It's really to give you awareness of what vulnerability is, and when it shows up, ask for more of it.
If you recognize that that level of being able to be there without trying to prove you're anything or prove you're not anything gives you everything. Everything.